Hello, and welcome to the Mike Guarneri podcast. This is episode number 8. So, yesterday we spoke a bit about the Golden Dawn, and I had mentioned that it ended in schism. The leader, Samuel Little McGregor Mathers, the man of many names, was off in Paris, getting the Paris Temple of the Golden Dawn up and running, and was spending a lot of time there. And it was felt back in the UK that he was neglecting the home temples. Um, Infighting ensued. Aleister Crowley was got into the heart of it, and got and joined sides with McGregor Mathers, and basically the Golden Dawn fell apart. At least as it was known at the time, and as we know it when we say the Golden Dawn. So, um, what happened to the members? Did they just disappear and stop their practices and stop their beliefs? Well, of course not. Um, Many offshoots were created of the Golden Dawn, all claiming lineage, and some claiming that they were the original one. They had the authority of the original temple, which is disputed. So let's talk about two of the bigger offshoots or extensions of the Golden Dawn. First, there was the Stella Matutina, um, which was a whole group of people from the original Golden Dawn Temple in London who set off on their own and made this second organization, Stella Matutina. Probably the most famous member who went with them was W.B. Yeats, who was a member of the organization until 1921. Um, Also, the I guess a legacy original Golden Dawn, the one with the authority run by McGregor Mathers, that Golden Dawn and all the temples that were loyal to him, um, they changed the name of it from the Golden Dawn, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, to Alpha et Omega. Um, Alpha et Omega spread to the U.S. Um, and there was quite a big temple in Chicago, actually. So these two organizations both puttered out, around the end of the late 1930s or so. Um, they were gone, at least by all accounts, they were gone. Um, and there were also other little offshoots that, are smaller and probably not worth mentioning that came off of the original Golden Dawn's members. Moving on. So I mentioned that the Alpha et Omega had a temple, a large one, in Chicago. So there was this occultist named Paul Foster Case. Um, he was around mostly in the first half of the 20th century. Paul Foster Case became a member of Alpha et Omega in Chicago. Now remember, it's basically the Golden Dawn. It's the same thing with a different name. It has the lineage and it has the authority because it came from McGregor Mathers. So when Paul Foster Case joined Alpha et Omega in Chicago, he advanced really quickly through the ranks, which some other members were unhappy about because they didn't progress as fast and they were leapt over by Paul Foster Case. Um, as if he seemed to know the teachings already or have an idea, which helped him progress so quickly. Uh, Eventually, Paul Foster Case got basically into disputes with other members and with um, Moena Mathers, who was the wife of McGregor Mathers. Um, she ultimately expelled Paul Foster Case from Alpha et Omega, and he seemed to be fine with that. But Paul Foster Case wasn't done. That's not the end of his story. He started writing occult books, and in those books, well, what Alpha et Omega claimed was teachings of the Golden Dawn. And they were livid because they said Paul Foster Case violated his oath when he became a member of Alpha et Omega. I'm assuming it was some sort of secrecy oath or oath not to disseminate information of the organization. Paul Foster Case's defense to that was he knew everything he wrote about before he even joined Alpha et Omega. That he obtained it through his own work, through his own spirituality. Um, who knows what the truth is, but that's what he claimed, and it would explain why he advanced so quickly through the grades of Alpha et Omega. But who knows? So ultimately, Paul Foster Case started his own group called the Builders of the Adytum. Um, Builders of the Adytum still exist to this day. They're in Los Angeles, California. They had a big temple there. I don't know if they still do or not. Um, they have a correspondence course they run. Yes, by you get things like a traditional correspondence course of years ago. Um, you'll get a packet sent to you. I believe they do electronically now, every week or 4 every month or whatever it is, with the teachings of Paul Foster Case in a graduated, graded manner. And they still do that. I don't know what the subscription per month costs anymore. I looked at it once, but they're still going strong. And the curriculum of Builders of the Adytum is basically the Golden Dawn curriculum, except Paul Foster Case excluded Enochian magic. He thought that his friend who practiced that a lot, that it drove him crazy and led to his death. So Paul Foster Case left out the Enochian magic, um, which is pretty interesting. So when Paul Foster Case passed away, there were two people who the control could have been passed to. One was a woman named Ann Davies, a longtime disciple and member, and another gentleman, Paul A. Clark, who started with the BOTA and as at a very young age, and Paul Foster Case was his mentor. So ultimately, after Paul Foster Case died, Ann Davies assumed control of the Builders of the Adytum. Um, I'm not sure, but I think I read somewhere that Paul A. Clark and Ann Davies didn't get along. Wouldn't surprise me, but I don't know for sure. But so Paul A. Clark, being, I guess, passed over or not selected by Paul Foster Case to take control of the builders when he died, he went off and formed his own group called the Fraternity of the Hidden Light. And they are also still alive and kicking on the internet. They have internet school where they offer online courses, and they have republished all the teachings of Paul Foster Case in nice books. I forget if it's 2 or 3 books, but everything is right there, um, all ready for you to go. And honestly, I would recommend, not that I want Builders of the Adytum to be heard or not, but you know, these books from Paul A. Clark, you'll spend a hell of a lot of money buying 2 or 3 books than you will, having it drip to you from builders on a monthly or weekly basis for a monthly fee. So it's definitely more cost effective and honestly more user friendly to have the books with all the lessons in them instead of as individual monographs. That's just my opinion, but that's kind of the way I went. I also believe that all of Will Foster Case's lessons and writings are out of copyright, so they're all over the internet. But then you have to piece them together and figure out what the order they go in order to um, effectively put everything together to learn. So my suggestion is just get the books by Paul A. Clark from the Fraternity of the Hidden Light. Maybe each book's 20 something dollars. It'll be a lot easier if you're interested in it. And once again, that's Golden Dawn material from the original Golden Dawn. So I'm still not done with Golden Dawn offshoots. We have the whole issue of Aleister Crowley that we have to get to. And we'll do that tomorrow. He needs a podcast in and of itself for him. So until tomorrow, stay well.